I genuinely don't believe that anything is intuitive. No design is intuitive. No product is intuitive. We only have varying degrees of familiarity. And if you walk into a review situation, if you walk into a situation like this with that idea in mind, then I think you're apt to be a bit more fair to what these things have to offer. So really, I got this thing home and I plugged it into my gaming laptop, which I also use as a little mobile video editing workstation. And it took about 2 days. It took about 2 days before I had really sort of started to wrap my fingers and my brain around the idea of doing little quick edits and trying to zoom in on the timeline and get a fair degree of complex video editing work done with some idea of proficiency. That kind of took me by surprise a little bit. There's something, we look at tablets, graphics tablets, as some sort of art or graphic design solution, and the idea that you can do other things with them is sort of on the back burner. It's a little further away in the conversation. Just simple things of navigating the UI. We're trained to start with a mouse and keyboard or a touchpad on a laptop. Increasingly, we're looking at those mixed modes of interacting, computers that are coming out with touchscreens, tablets that have different various interfaces that you can interact with. That, I think, is a very interesting idea for how to make all technology or all computing just a bit more accessible. I totally understand why some people swear by a graphics tablet, some type of pen touch interface. It's very likely that one of the first things you learned to do as a kid was pick up some stick, what makes marks on a piece of paper. This is something that comes very naturally to a lot of people. So much so that even as I was sort of messing around with this, my 3-year-old daughter ran into my office and just wanted to know what I was doing and what the screen was. We don't let her have a lot of computer time. She's not very proficient in technology right now. We're just sort of letting her be a kid and not really worrying about trying to indoctrinate her into one camp of Mac or PC or Android or iOS or anything like that. So I kind of took that as an experiment. Here's someone who has zero preconceived notions of how a computer should work. And so I sat her in front of this tablet here and I fire up Microsoft Paint just to give her a blank page to work from. And it took about a minute, maybe 30 seconds before she understood the concept of holding onto this stick, tapping different colors, changing brush width and brush size, and then also being able to erase. That really got me cooking a little bit on there's the potential that we might be missing out on. Think of those interactions that you have with family members, older relatives. They go and touch your monitor even though your monitor doesn't have a touch screen. They're unsure of how they're supposed to interact, or they can't get the feel on a double tap on a mouse. Not to say like, oh, only for the elderly. I feel like there's accessibility concerns across the board, but this could be an interesting solution, putting something in their hand that empowers them to interact and touch and control, and then they see very clearly my hand is relating to the screen here, and as I'm moving this around, you can see where that mouse cursor is ending up. I mean, if it worked for a 3-year-old, probably work for a grandparent or someone with other accessibility concerns too. There are ideas here that I think could be very accessible to a number of other people. It's always funny when you sort of stray from the norm, right? Because obviously, I think if you were to talk to video editors or you talk to people working in spreadsheets, there's a very obvious consensus of mouse and keyboard. But when you run into someone who's been using another solution, something like a graphics tablet, they're passionate about their solution for their workflow and what makes sense for their evolved primate grip. But I do think that there's a great idea here that someone might be apt to overlook. There are all these different metaphors for how we can interact with services, and something like this, keep it on the list, even if you're not necessarily sure if that's something you're going to dig. It might be. It might be something worth trying just to help with the creative flow of a project or the fine point control of something that requires a little nuance, or for any of your friends and family who might have other issues interacting with technology, and something like this could potentially give them more of an opportunity to join the technological age that we're all a part of these days. So folks, thanks so much for watching. We're gonna have more hands-on and some fun conversations and just expanding on some of these sort of review opportunities with the gadgets and tech that we get to use at Newegg Studios. Check out what we've got coming up for you. What did the YouTubers say? You know, smashing bell icons and stuff so you get notified. We're gonna have a lot more coming on the Newegg Studios YouTube channel, and I hope you'll check it out. For Newegg Studios, I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you all on the next video.